Prosecutors allege Emmanuel wasn't kidnapped. He was already gone, dead from a lifetime of abuse at the hands of his parents. Imagine that for a second. While the world searched parking lots, highways, and rivers for a missing baby, Emmanuel's tiny body had already been discarded like trash. His story wasn't one of sudden danger, but of prolonged suffering behind closed doors. The district attorney's office revealed that baby Emmanuel had suffered severe injuries throughout his short 7 months of life. His fragile bones bore the marks of violence. His cries were ignored. And when his life ended, it wasn't because of a stranger's cruelty, it was because of the very people who were supposed to protect him. And here's where the tragedy deepens. This wasn't Jake Haro's first brush with child abuse. No, far from it. Back in 2018, Jake brutally injured his own infant daughter. She survived, but barely. The case went to court, and instead of prison, Jake received probation and work release. That decision, one single moment of leniency, opened the door for Emmanuel's fate. District Attorney Michael Hesterin did not mince words. Standing before cameras, he declared, if that judge had done his job, Emmanuel would be alive today. And if you're watching this, ask yourself, how many more children like Emmanuel are out there right now, hidden in silence, waiting for someone to speak up? That's why I need you to hit subscribe this very moment. Don't hesitate, don't scroll away. Because every time a story like this spreads, more eyes open, more voices rise, and fewer children slip through the cracks. But maybe you're thinking, why should I subscribe? If you can hear Emmanuel's story and still ask that, then leave a comment below explaining why, because silence here isn't neutrality. Silence is siding with the abuser. Now let's go deeper. Emmanuel's case is more than just a tragedy, it's an indictment of a broken system. A system that gave a violent man a second chance, while taking away a baby's only chance at life. Think about that. Judges, lawyers, and prosecutors, paid to uphold justice, made a choice that ended in Emmanuel's death. How many other Emmanuels are living in danger because of that same cycle of failure? And if that thought unsettles you, if it keeps you awake at night like it does me, then prove it. Subscribe now so you're not just a bystander to this tragedy. Because let's be clear, if you scroll past, if you stay quiet, if you don't subscribe, you're accepting that Emmanuel's voice can fade into the noise. Are you really okay with that? Or will you take 1 second, 1 click, to make sure his story is never buried? This case is more than a headline. It's a warning. A baby's short life cut down, a system's failure laid bare, and parents whose cruelty has now been exposed. And if you still feel torn, here's my challenge, type in the comments why you refuse to subscribe. Let the world see your reason. Let others judge if it measures up against Emmanuel's suffering. Because if you can hear his story, see his face, and still turn away, maybe the world needs to hear why. And then came Jake's chilling secret. For days, investigators pressed the HAROS for answers. Rebecca's lies had already begun to unravel, but the breakthrough came when Jake himself cracked. In the cold confines of a police interrogation room, he confessed. Not to being the helpless father of a kidnapped child, but to being Emmanuel's killer. According to reports, Jake admitted the unthinkable. He told investigators that Emmanuel wasn't kidnapped by a stranger. He himself had smothered the baby, his own flesh and blood. A defenseless 7-month-old, whose final breaths were stolen by the man who should have been his protector. But Jake's horror didn't end with the killing. He went further. He described how he dumped Emmanuel's tiny body into a trash can near the 60 Freeway in Moreno Valley, as if this child's life had been nothing more than waste to be discarded. Picture that for a moment. Commuters driving over that freeway, families going about their lives, unaware that somewhere nearby, under the asphalt and noise, investigators now search for the remains of a baby boy thrown away like garbage. And here's the part that chills even seasoned detectives. To this day, Emmanuel's body has not been found. Search crews with cadaver dogs, forensic specialists combing through terrain, landfill inspections, desperate efforts, all with no closure. Emmanuel remains missing, even in death. This is the reality of evil. And if hearing this doesn't make you stop scrolling and subscribe, then I have to ask, what will? How many more babies like Emmanuel have to vanish before you decide this channel's mission matters? If you won't subscribe, then step into the comments and tell the world why. Because silence is no different than indifference, and indifference is what killed Emmanuel. And let's not sugarcoat it. Jake didn't just commit a crime, he made a choice. A choice to smother innocence, to destroy hope, to discard life. And choices like that thrive in darkness, when the public looks away. If you don't hit subscribe right now, you're choosing that same darkness. Ask yourself, would you rather be part of the silence that lets another Emmanuel slip through the cracks, or part of the voice that forces these stories into the light? Jake's confession stripped away every lie. It exposed the horrifying truth. And yet, without Emmanuel's body, the family, the community, and the justice system remain in torment. No grave to mourn at. No closure to hold on to. So yes, you can watch this and click away. Or you can subscribe right now and make sure Emmanuel's story doesn't vanish with the same silence that took his life. Because if you don't, you'll have to explain in the comments why his voice wasn't worth your click. Both Jake and Rebecca Haro now sit behind bars, charged with murder. Each held on $1 million bail. Their arraignment looms, September 4, 2025, a date the community has circled in grief, rage, and desperate hope for justice. But ask yourself, is justice ever truly possible when the victim is just 7 months old? A child who never got to say a first word, never took a first step, never had a chance to be anything more than a headline? The community mourns not just Emmanuel's death, but their own powerlessness. Candlelight vigils glow at night, tiny flames trying to light the darkness of a system that failed to protect him. Strangers grieve for a baby they never met, because deep down, everyone knows, Emmanuel could have been any child. And here lies the haunting question, how could a man with Jake Haro's history, already guilty of abusing an infant daughter back in 2018, still walk free to harm again? Why was his second chance valued above a child's only chance at life? The district attorney called it plain, if that judge had done his job, Emmanuel would be alive today. And that single sentence hangs heavy over this entire case. Because Emmanuel isn't the only one. There are more out there. More babies. More children. And unless this broken cycle is confronted, there will be more Emmanuels. Now stop and think, will you be the person who scrolls away, letting these stories fade into silence? Or will you subscribe right now, making a statement that Emmanuel's life matters, that his suffering won't just vanish with the next headline? Because here's the truth, not subscribing, not sharing, not engaging, it's the digital equivalent of walking past Emmanuel's grave and refusing to look down. And if you choose that, then I challenge you, go to the comments and explain why. Tell the world why a baby's life wasn't worth your click. But if this story cuts you, if it unsettles your heart like it should, then do something right now. Subscribe, share, and be part of a community that refuses to let silence kill again. Jake's secret is no longer hidden. His cruelty has been dragged into the light. But until Emmanuel's body is found, closure remains out of reach. His tiny remains lie somewhere unknown, a wound that will not heal. So we wait for justice. We wait for answers. And we remember this, Emmanuel never had the chance to raise his voice. But you do. The only question is, will you stay silent, or will you act? This is not just the story of one baby. This is a warning. A call for reform. And a reminder of the devastating price of failure. Baby Emmanuel's life lasted only 7 months. 7 months of pain, silence, and betrayal at the hands of those who should have protected him. His story is now etched into the failures of the justice system, the heartbreak of a community, and the conscience of anyone listening right now. Rest in peace, baby Emmanuel. You never got to speak, but your story speaks louder than any words could. And here's where you come in. If you believe every child deserves justice, if you believe silence kills, then you cannot walk away from this video without subscribing. Because each subscription is another voice refusing to let Emmanuel be forgotten. But if you won't subscribe, then I dare you to explain why in the comments. Tell the world why Emmanuel's short life doesn't matter enough for a single click. Maybe others will agree with you, or maybe they'll remind you what silence really costs. Think carefully. If you scroll past without acting, you're repeating the same indifference that let Emmanuel slip through the cracks. But if you subscribe, share, and raise your voice, you're part of a movement that refuses to let another child vanish unnoticed. You have a choice right now: silence or action. Indifference or justice. Which side of Emmanuel's story will you stand on? Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this story, so that Emmanuel's short life is never erased, never buried, never forgotten.